This is one of my favorite words, man. And awarenesses and to be present in. And Scott is the amazing example of pronoia, right? And what it can do. Look at what it did in this scenario, right? 22 shows. Well, in what, 22 minutes as it took? How long did it take, right? So
24 hours, I think. Right?
It was just,
so,
okay, that's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. So pronoia is everybody knows what paranoia is.
Right.
Pronoia is the opposite of paranoia to a certain degree. Pronoia is the belief that everything is happening for you and not to you in all circumstances, in the worst moment. Just to have that awareness of, wait a minute, to stop, gather yourself, and have that shift of thought of like, you know what? Okay, obviously I should be thanking the situation because the universe is creating something better for me, taking me off the wrong path and putting me on the right path. And that transition can be bumpy at times. And we don't see that because we're not present and aware of this whole concept of pronoia, right? Because paranoia, man, we could slip in there no problem, right? It's easy to slip into there,
right?
Because we're aware of it. That's where we've been living. So when you bring yourself to that awareness of pronoia, of where you catch yourself, when you know, it's funny because it's like if you're walking across the street and you trip, you fall, you scratch, you land on your knee, you hurt your knee, you scratch your knee, you're like, beep, beep, whatever. And you're like, oh man, why did that happen to me? And then you lift your head and you realize that if you didn't fall, you would have got hit by that bus. That's pronoia, is the not seeing the bus, but feeling that there's a reason why. And that's that pronoia, that's Scott. Like I see Scott, and Scott's just like the pronoia king, right? He's not going to allow any situation negative. He's going to see it differently. He's going to have a different outlook on it. And he's going to, when you do that, you help manifest it to go in that direction rather than to fall into the other side of it, right? So it's so important, man. Pronoia, like, it's one of my favorites, man.
Wow. I think when people, the hardest part is to, when you're in that situation, to be present
and catch it.
That's the thing. Because it's just like me saying, you know what? I'm not gonna curse, right? That's just my thing. I'm gonna stop cursing. And then when I hit my toe, and the first thing comes is that word. Can I control it? You know, it's like, I don't know if I can, you know.
Do you even want to at that moment? Right? Maybe you might shift your awareness to somewhere else at that moment. But the thing is, to catch it.
And that's the hardest. I think for some people, that's the hardest part is to. And so, I think it's to just keep. I guess training your mind to not to think everything that's bad is for a reason, right? Keep telling yourself that. Yes. So when those things do happen, it's easy for you to catch it, right? Because you're conditioning your mind to think that way.
Yeah, it's all about rewiring your brain to live and coexist with how you want to experience and how you want to feel. How do we want to feel versus how we just feel automatically, our default settings, right? We're like a computer. They designed a computer based on the human brain. That's without a doubt, right? Each computer has default settings, right? So that if certain action occurs, it's designed to respond this way to all these actions, all these default settings. We have these same default settings. And these are what you just talked about, how you stub your toe, your default setting is to do what you just thought you were going to do. So it's the catching. To reset your default settings is exactly what you said. It's the catching of the actual action that's causing the default setting to act that way, and rewiring that moment, that very moment. Say, oh, okay, I remember what my old default setting is. I acknowledge it, and I'm going to do the opposite or whatever it is that I prefer to do at this time. And we're not as simple as a computer where you can change the default settings with a click of a mouse.
Stubborn.
We're a little bit more complex.
Yeah,
With the physical, with the body, because we're not, mechanical parts and wires and all these things.
So, Sameena, speaking about default settings, you introduced, well, now we're going to, welcome to Help for the Soul. And I understand you have a story, you transformed your default settings.
Okay.
And so you take it away and introduce them, and then we're starting now.
All right. So, Wayne,
Well, we've always been starting,
welcome to Hope for the Soul. Actually, it's especially significant because you're the first guest since we relaunched it. And it's Brian as my co-host. That makes it more interesting and even more dynamic, right? Having two personalities. And so, speaking of default settings, people love you, know you. I don't even think you need an introduction. You're very well loved, and he is. He's just the most peaceful, loved. There's no bad stuff in him. There's you always just wish people the well. You just want to love on them, whether they are maybe, I don't want to say you like them or not, but you just love everyone. That's how I see you.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
But from my understanding, when you first came onto another platform, Passion Projects TV, months ago, I think it was in April, May of last year or something like that. Tell me, and we spoke a little bit, you weren't always in that space.
No.
It was unbelievable when you just shared a little bit of your story, and I'm like, what? You were? I just, looking at you now and feeling you.
It's hard to see that.
It's hard to see.
Yeah, which I appreciate. I love that because, it's a part of my story that I'm not proud of it per se. However, I'm not embarrassed to speak about it at all because it's just a testament to anyone can make this kind of transformation. It doesn't matter what you did.
And you made a huge transformation now where you're at with the meditation, and that was a huge part of your life, your transformation. Like you said, that's what changed your life. But going back, share with us your story, your deep story of that pain or where you're at, whether it was years ago or I don't know how long ago.
Yeah, no, I'm born and raised in Nova Scotia. Grew up in a town called Sydney, right? And that was in the rough part of the neighborhood, right? In Whitney Pier. What's up, Whitney Pier? How you doing, everybody? Grew up in a rough neighborhood, and we were in that at that age with my generation there. We were in the hip hop culture. And, we all know sometimes the hip-hop culture can be a little bit of darkness, to say the least. I believe that's shifting and changing now as we go. But it glorified all these other things, when it comes to the criminal world, drugs, alcohol, women, the sex industry, any kind of criminal activity, right? Robbery and guns, whatever. And that kind of, I always take responsibility for all my actions, right? However, there is a lot of influence there. And it really helped, looking back, it really helped take my life in that direction, which I allowed, but it really guided the light down to the dark path. And again, I also believe that the light and the darkness walk hand in hand sometimes. It's almost like they have meetings and they say, okay, how are we gonna shake Brian up today? What are we gonna do? It's almost like I'd love to be a fly on the wall at these meetings. The dark and the light have to together. But I grew up in a great house, a great home. My mother and father are still doing it up. They're amazing people. I have no excuses when it comes to that part of my life. My parents were amazing, but I just never listened to them at all. Never. And I just did my own thing. And, with the people, that I was around at that time, and a lot of them have changed too, right? And a lot of them have grown as well. But we were into no good. And that's the vibration that I began on. And it just grew, carried over. I was doing robberies and selling drugs and all the above. And I was getting into some trouble there, so I kind of came here. We talked about earlier, I always wanted to come here. Even as a child, I always wanted to live in Toronto. And I just came here when I was 18. And because I had no idea about vibration and energy and all this wonderful stuff, I just continued on the same path because I didn't make any changes from within. I was listening to the same music, still had the same thoughts, still wanted money the same way, kind of thing. So escalated. My criminal lifestyle just went through the roof here. I ended up starting to smuggle drugs, cocaine and different other drugs, all kinds of drugs into the country. And I did that for years. And then eventually, the universe gave me a taste of my own medicine. I started getting into the drugs that I was smuggling for years, or selling for years. And I got addicted to cocaine and some other drugs. And it really brought me to the bottom of the barrel. I was a mess. I was a complete mess. I had blown so much money and pretty much lost all the most important people in my life. I lost a lot of friends. They lost their lives in many different ways. And I remember I actually finally came to the day where I realized I had a problem. And everything happens for a reason, right? And I came here. I was going to Brampton to a rehab facility. And I was very proud of myself because I had finally admitted it's time I got to do something. I have a problem, because before I never would think. I was in total denial. Right. Yeah, I got control of it, whatever. Just totally blocking everything out in front of my face.
One question, just back, what had you come to that realization before we get into that, you know what, I want to get help, enough is enough, or whatever realization you came to? What was that pivotal point for you? How bad did it really get?
Oh, it got bad to the point where I was on the street. I was living from house to house or in a hotel room to hotel room. And I was getting to the last of my money. I remember having hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash, and just I had nothing left. And my children, because I was looking at doing some time, a lot of time, 12, 13 years for this case. And that's what turned it around for me, was the thought of why the hell didn't I think of this, what my children were going to do if something like this happened to me? And B, that's opened up the channel for me to actually look at myself in the mirror and go, wait a minute, what the hell are you doing? What is this? This is like a hip-hop video gone bad, or one of those hood movies. Like, what am I living here? This isn't even really me. So all these different epiphanies came in. And it wasn't like a one-time moment. It was a collection of moments, of mini moments. And the one of them, which I was explaining, was when I tried to get help, they turned me away. And, long story short, I ended up on the run from police on this same day I'm trying to go get help. And it made me realize, you know what? You got yourself into this, right? It's up to you to get yourself out of this. And I'm sitting on train tracks. I'm running from police. I'm sitting on train tracks. And I can't believe it. I'm in denial. I'm looking for help, and they turn me away, and they try to arrest me, and it just got crazy. I couldn't comprehend what was going on.
Why did they turn you away?
They said I needed an appointment, a referral.
Was it a treatment center?
It was a rehabilitation center, yeah. So they told me I needed a referral, and I thank this woman too, who did it. I thank her too, because that helped me again with the pronoia, right? Hindsight, pronoia is 20/20 as well, right? So she helped me realize that, hey, listen, buddy, you got yourself in this mess. You get yourself out. You can do it, right? And I'm sitting there on these train tracks, and I'm actually gonna do some more cocaine. I'm actually, pardon the pun, I was gonna do a rail on a rail. I'm on train tracks.
Wow.
And I had this cocaine in my hand, and I'm like, just about to do it. And it just hit me. I'm like, this is what, I just went to tell them I need help. Like, I'm just admitting I needed help for this. What the heck am I doing right now? And as soon as I had that thought, something hit me. And I looked up to the sky, and the stars were so beautiful. And I was in Brampton, so it wasn't, usually you don't see many stars, right? So
Is that in Canada?
You know what I mean, right? Unless you go up north, right? So, but the sky opened up, and I could see all the stars, and I was just like, wow, I get it now. I was supposed to feel this way. I was supposed to feel this pain. This is the pain that I helped other people go through. Well, all these years I'm selling these drugs to people. So that moment hit me. I'm like, oh my God. Literally, oh my God. I was supposed to get addicted to this stuff. This is what I've been serving people for years. How dare I do that? How could I do that? No wonder I'm going through this. The karma of it all, right? So I was on train tracks there was a little swampish area with some bulrushes and stuff, and I just threw the cocaine in there. And it was, a substantial amount. I didn't care. I was done with it. I just I didn't want, and I never touched it again, ever. And it's been 11 years. 11 years since I did any.
What was the impact of your addiction? Like, what are the effects or the impact of it? The pain.
The impact and the impact, I would say, and I say this is probably going across the board, is these drugs, they scramble your decision making, right? You would make decisions that you would never make unless you were under the influence of some of these drugs, or alcohol too, for that matter, right? Abused alcohol is one of the worst drugs out there, right? And there's things that everybody's going to relate to this if they've ever had a few drinks. You do things you would never do if you didn't have those drinks that day. So it's completely bringing you outside of your character. Who you are. Your character is who you are. So if something is bringing you outside of your character, it is changing you into somebody else who you do not want to be. So that's where I think it had the most impact on me. Because like I said, I believe I was supposed to be addicted to these drugs just through my experience, my journey, what I deserved at that time, and what I needed to learn as well. So my decision making, it scrambled my decision making. I didn't make the right choices at all, and even sometimes knowingly making bad choices. You know what I mean? Like, just, I know it's deep down, I know it's wrong, but I'm going to do it anyway, right? Wow. But when your mind is, sober and straight and clear, and then you take out those things, and then you take out stress, anxiety, and all these other negative emotions. So you physically and emotionally eliminate those frequencies, your life just opens up. It's like the clouds part, the ocean parts. You can walk through it. Everything just opens up. And it totally changed my life. And I was so grateful. Like, even I'm always, and you talk about how I love everybody and stuff. And a lot of it stems from how grateful I am for all of the things that I've been blessed with, surviving. Now all the things that I'm blessed with, the ability to spread love and to shine light into dark places, and to uplift people, and to get people to meditate and, turn their lives and put them on the right track. It's just a small adjustment that needs to be made, right? You take the Apollo, to the mission to the moon, right? And NASA will show you and tell you 97% of the time it was off course. 97% of the time it was off course. It kind of reminds me of my entire life.
Wow.
97% of the time off course. All it takes is that 3% of adjustments, and you can get to your destination.
So what was your journey when you came to that realization, you know what, I need to make a change or whatever? First, I just wanted to ask Brian, who's co-hosting with me for the first time, if you have any questions about Wayne's story, because I know this is the first time you're hearing it. So anything that intrigues you?
I think that our mayor, right, he had a cocaine issue, but they said he was one of the best mayors Canada ever had. And then in the States, Mayor Barry, he had cocaine issue, but the African American community loved him. He provided so many jobs for the community, and so not praising the drug, but did you feel that when you were using, you said that it put you in a different character, but is it because you have no fear when you're on it? It's just, so you just do the kind of the unbelievable that an average person wouldn't do? Because you said you did some stuff and you know it was bad and stuff, but you did it anyway. But to some people might think, wow, this guy's amazing, because of just the, I don't know, I'm not going to say the drive, but just the determination to do it anyway. I don't care. And you did it and it worked. And it's like, wow, you're brilliant. Because like some of these celebrities, right? They're on drugs, these rappers, but they come out with these amazing songs. They're in this space. They're sipping on cough medicine, some of the celebrities I'm not going to say. Steroids and stuff, but when they come out of the studio, the songs are amazing. And you would hear these celebrities say, look, I was high the whole time.
That's very intriguing. I wouldn't have thought that question.
I was stoned the whole time. But the audience and the everybody else say, wow, your work or your art was brilliant. So I don't know. You have any?
Yeah, I could give you some background on that. The interesting question. Thank you, by the way, Brian. Thank you very much. What I would say to that is, for me, and everybody's different.
Right.
Everybody has different effects from different things, and some people smoke marijuana, some people they can't. Physically, some people drink, some people can't, some people whatever, and everything affects people differently. For me, cocaine, and like I said, maybe different for some people, but for me, cocaine didn't give me any creativity whatsoever. Nothing can I ever say that there was one day that, oh yeah, I was really high on cocaine and I came up with something brilliant. I cannot say that. There is no date for that. However, there were some other drugs, and I don't want to promote any drugs.
Absolutely,
Listen, kids, stay in school and do not do any drugs and all this beautiful stuff. However, psychedelics. I find psychedelics natural as can be, right? Like in the form of mushrooms or anything that's natural, ayahuasca or all these other natural growing plants that the earth provide, that come from the earth. Do open up certain channels, which creativity can flow through amazingly. And sometimes, different drugs that didn't have that effect on me might have that effect on them, right? Because we're all different. It's not just fingerprints and snowflakes. You know what I mean?
Right.
We all have our own imprint and our own different, characteristics about ourselves, both physically and spiritually and mentally. So for me, it was, I guess I did come up with some stuff. I invented a board game. Me and my partner, we helped create children's entertainment, music. The whole concept of echo movement all these different concepts and creativity. I must say that sometimes there was a little chemical assistance there, natural chemical assistance there. Yeah, so it does open up channels sometimes when done under the proper circumstances and situation and scenario, right? And not abused or stuff like that, and in a ceremonial type fashion as well, right? So you're setting the intent behind. We're not just all getting together and we're not just, let's get high and la la la, right? No, we're getting together. We're going to come, at peace. We're going to bless the earth. We're going to connect to the, to the divine. We're going to, do whatever the intent that we put behind it. It changes the dynamic of what you're going to receive from it, right? Because you're not just sending out a big tunnel to connect to something.
Right.
You're putting direction to it, right? I'm not just saying, okay, take me out there. No, I'm saying here, take me here in particular, So it's all about the intent that we put. The intention is one of the most amazing things, right? Because you can do one thing with no intention and it does nothing. But if you do the same thing with intent, with love behind it, wow, it's magical. Magic happens.
So what, just for clarification, so all the drugs, the kind of drugs that Brian was talking about, I guess you could negative drugs, had no positive impact on you whatsoever, what he was talking about.
Yeah, no, MDMA would be the one, drug that did give me some creativity. And I did, but like I said, I am not promoting to do MDMA.
For sure. We're not promoting any drugs.
Right, there's other natural ways of doing these things that are
just
actually
your
healthy.
Experience too. Because that was a very interesting question, right? Sometimes you don't know
celebrities
and stuff that are high on
very
something.
Interesting question, right?
So I wouldn't have thought of that, right? So that was interesting. That's why he's here. He has this creative mind and energetic mind. Go ahead, take it away.
Yeah, just it just was a question that I've always had, but who do you go and ask that to, right? So the opportunity presents itself. So at that moment when it's so profound. At that moment when you were at the railroad tracks and you had it in your hand, right?
Yeah.
And you were gonna do it, and then something hit you, right? That moment where you got me. It's like I got you moment. What are you gonna do? And you took the chance to, or the decision not to, right? And to realize that this is what I've been feeding people, and I'm going through the same thing. And how dare I? So that moment right there is priceless, because I think that everybody, when they go through certain things, that's the moment that, to me, that's the moment that counts, right? Because that's the moment where you're looking up and you're saying, what have I done, or what now? Or, I give up, I surrender.
Now I understand.
Now I understand.
Now I understand it all. It all makes sense now, right?
And so, and then that's the turning point. And then, it's your choice to now follow the path, right? Because the path is already set for you, right? It's already there. You just have to follow it. It's when are you gonna say, okay, I'm not gonna do it my way anymore. I'm just gonna allow it to happen.
Just go with the flow.
That's awesome.
Flow in your passion and purpose, and the universe always guides you down the right path.
So after that moment, what has transpired?
Well, after that moment, it was I ended up, because again with the mini moments, I was still under the charges and the court case. So I found myself in jail after that, And again, that's when I was thinking about, oh my God, why didn't I think of the kids? Like, I have 3 beautiful kids, wonderful kids, Kyle, Aaron, and Jasmine. Hi guys, love you. I don't know which camera to look at, but amazing studio, by the way. But, you know, and I that's the moment when I had like, what the heck was I not thinking about this? Like, and I was in jail, and I prayed to God, the universe, everybody, if you can get me out of this one. If you can get me out of this one. I've seen many things that I could get out of. Like, my whole life was designed on that. Near life, you know, experiences, losing my life many times in different circumstances and gunfights and everything else. Seeing time slow down for me so that I could save my life. Like, it's just... I could go on and on, but it was when I put out to the universe, if you can get me out of this one, I'm going to change my life, and I'm going to make a difference in other people's lives. That was the first time I kind of had that idea of not just helping myself or my family or my friends or whatever, but everyone. I felt connected. I was in jail, and it was funny. It's a funny story. Again, I was a different person back then, and there was a gentleman sitting. There was a few of us. We're in a holding cell, waiting to go to court, and this guy, he was staring at me, and I was, like I said, I was a different person back then. I would never act like this now, right? But I didn't. I felt like I wasn't supposed to like that. I'm in here. I'm supposed to be a certain way. Whatever. I was just doing what I had to do. So I went and sat down next to the guy, and I'm like, yo, buddy, you know what? You want to tell me why you're staring at me like this, man? And he made me feel this small. I felt this small because I didn't realize he had a little Bible in his hand. And he passed me this Bible. And I get emotional sometimes when I think about this, right? He passed me this Bible, and I felt terrible that I came at him like this. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, I'm sorry, bro. You know what I mean? He's like, listen, I want you to read this part. I want you to read this part right here. This is for you. And I read it, and I can't remember word for word or even what verse it was or whatever, but it was something in there talking about how Jesus was in jail, and you know, he just, the whole moral of the story was, God's got you. You're okay. You're going to get out of here. You're going to be fine. And that's when I sat down and I said these prayers. You know, who is this guy in here handing me this Bible and talking about, you know, know, Jesus is in prison and here I'm in prison. And I was just overwhelmed by the energy, the spiritual energy that just came over my body. And I began to just put it out there. Okay. If I'm going to be okay, you know, you got me. I got you. I'm going to make a change. I'm going to make a difference here on this whole planet. I felt it. I knew I was going to not go to jail for 13 years or what have you. I just felt it instantly. I knew. I was like, I'm good. And thank you. And I'm going to do what it is you want me to do. And I didn't know what they wanted me to do. For quite some time after that too.
Right.
But what I did then was I disassociated myself. I beat the case. I got out. I disassociated myself from the entire criminal world. I didn't talk to anyone. I didn't, you know, I didn't go anywhere near any of these places. I stopped.
You didn't go to jail.
I got out of jail. Pass go, $200. There you go. Right. Yeah. And I walked out of there. And because at first, there was a person who testified against me, right? God bless him too, right? It's all good. Universe bless him too. But as I'm walking out of the courthouse, he was there. And I'm walking by him, and I look at him. And like I said, I was a different person. And I'm looking at him. I'm looking him up and down. He's looking at me. And I'm thinking to myself, oh boy, I'm getting you.
Oh God.
Oh brother, I'm coming to get you. And then it hit me. Oh, wait a second. Whoa, that promise I made in there. I can't do anything. I have to love this man. That was the first thing that I have to love this man. I can't do anything to this man. I'm different now. And again, that's when I was changing my default setting.
Right.
I caught it.
You caught it.
I caught it, and I made the adjustment. That's why the little voice, the one that we're talking with right now, it's all fun and it's all great, right? Helps us get what we want from people and express ourselves. However, the one inside our head that we use and talk to ourselves with, that voice is what you have when we leave this body. That voice in your head is the one that you have to use to catch yourself. That's where the catching is done, with that little voice in your head, right? Because that's what happened. I looked at him and I'm like, oh, Heather, I'm going to get you, man. And then my little voice in my head, which was the same one who just said that statement, caught it and was just like, ooh, no.
Made a promise.
That's when I started changing my default settings, saying, no, you know what? I'm not like this anymore. I'm like this. I'm like this now. And the whole trend, that's another trick of it too, is to not focusing on what you used to be. Instead, focus on what you are going to be or want to be. And not even, that's like me saying, oh, you know what? Waking up and saying, oh, I don't want it to rain. I'm saying the rain. I'm saying what I don't want, right? Instead of saying, it's going to be sunny today. And just leave it at that.
Leave it.
Right? Not even mention the other part. So that's where it all begins, I believe, is that grabbing of the catching yourself. And that's what I did that day. And once I got out of there, and like I said, I made the transformation, I started with disassociating myself from all the people who I used to be around, and God bless them too, and they were on their journey the same way I was on mine. And I started with positive thinking and mindfulness. That was how I began my journey to where I am here now. That's where what led me here was the power of positive thinking and mindfulness.
How did you find that, like positive thinking, mindfulness? Did someone tell you about it? Did you just happen to come across that?
Yeah, you know what? I watched a video about two different people. I never read a book in my life. I can read, but I never read a book. I just would always fall asleep or whatnot. But it just wasn't in me to read a book. Nothing against reading. I really want to get into it. I'm actually...
He has these infomercials.
All right, I'm writing a book right now too, so whatever. But yeah, I never really had any kind of mentors or people who I looked up to and stuff like that until I saw two people. One was Wayne Dyer. Wayne Dyer changed my life from watching a few of his videos. Hands down, changed my life, my perspective on life, and it changed everything. And Bob Proctor was the other one.
Proctor's amazing. I want to stop you right there. You said growing up you never really had any mentor, and I know there's a lot of young boys, right, that grows up without a mentor. What would you say to them?
Because that was an incorrect statement I made.
Okay.
I did have mentors, but they weren't good ones. Right?
Okay.
So
how do you find a good mentor? Like how? Like what did you? Well, you didn't have good mentors, but yeah,
because my mentors were NWA and Too Short, and and they didn't really God bless them too, but they didn't really give me any valuable information that I could use in my life besides taking the wrong path. So
I think what Brian's asking is growing up with good positive mentors I would make in your life, as you could put it, is that how did you still come to that all on your own? Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
on your own. And also, did you ever go to end up getting treatment or anything like that? Or?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I never got any treatment like that. I did. Well, once I got turned away and chased by the police from that one place, I figured, okay, I got this. It's okay, guys. Don't worry. I won't bother you again.
Was it just that point when you were in the jail cell that someone handed you a Bible? That was at the pivotal point of what changed things for you? Or was there something else that came about that helped you?
That was a pivotal point, Sameena, absolutely. But however, like I said earlier, it's a collection of these pivotal points, right? It wasn't just one huge epiphany at one time. It was a collective, but that was one of the most important ones, yes. But I would say it was something that just came over me. It wasn't something that I can remember anybody teaching me or telling me or something I read or saw in a video. It was just something that I think it helped. My parents were my foundation of that. They're amazing, incredible people. My mom and dad, my father, they're always helping people. Always, want the best for everyone. I want to see everybody happy. Always catering to everyone. So I kind of had that service in my DNA from them. So I believe a lot of it was coming from them. And then also because of that fact, I came from them too. So because of that fact, it was already in me. Right. So I think we all come with it. I don't care who it is, Jeffrey Dahmer even. I think we all come with it. It just depends on free will, right? Free will is huge.
It's huge. That's true.
Right? Free will can change destiny. It can. It can because, you make a decision with your free will and it can change your whole life, right? Your destiny might erase. You can erase your destiny, people. Don't get it twisted. People say, oh, yeah, it is true to a certain degree that your path is written and la, la, la. But guess what? If you can unwrite your path too. You can unwrite your path too, right? If you're not worthy and if you're not on that vibration of where you're supposed to be at that time, you're going to fall off the track and miss the boat and miss the train or whatever, right? But for me, it was just always there. And I was just, my environment